What's going on, everybody? It's your boy PTK Blam back in the building with another episode of the Shop Podcast. How is everybody feeling this week, man? So, we got a great show lined up for you guys. I hope you guys are all feeling and doing well. We got another amazing guest in the house. So we appreciate you guys joining us. Thank you guys for hanging out every single week, man. We appreciate the support. Once again, retweet the link. Let everybody know what's going on. Let everybody know the Shop Podcast is live right now, man. So get in here, hit the chat, say hello on your way in, hit the like button. Super Chat is live as well, man. We greatly appreciate you guys hanging out. So let's go ahead, man. We got an awesome guest, first-time guest, man. Been following this guy for a while now. Up-and-coming YouTuber, phenomenal gamer. Just super awesome person in general, man. Shout out to Steel Rain hanging out here in the Shop Podcast, man. Let everybody know where they can find you at, Steel.
Yo, what's going on? I am him, the one and only Steel Rain, and I'm in here bringing the rain into the PTK Kingdom, aka the Shop Kingdom. Look, man, I'm super grateful that you even invited me on. That's what it's about, man, that organic nature. Like I always preach to my brother, also on the panel, Pong Soul. But look, man, got some fire topics. I can always find me on Twitter. I'm in the gaming streets, man. I've been on BDO a lot here recently, coming off that Scarlet Nexus. Got to jump back into it sometime, but that MMO grind just always pulls me right back in, and I blame it on the series console. But other than that, man, you already know what it is. Let's get into these fire topics, man.
Man, appreciate you still for hanging out, man. First time here, but not last time here. So remember that for sure. Chat, we appreciate you guys, man. Everybody hanging out. If you're not in chat and just watching live, man, let everybody know what's going on with the Shop Podcast live. Saturdays, where you're going to get all your fire gaming topics, man. We're going over all of that. We got a lot to unpack this week, man. Let's get to the rest of my amigos here. But we're going to start with you, Pong Soul, man. We got Pong Soul. We got the yin and the yang.
That's right.
Week.
That's right.
So I don't know what's gonna go down on this show because we got two, and I mean, go ahead, Pong. How you been, brother?
I've been great. It's Saturday night, and it's great to be here as always with my brothers, and of course with my brother from another Steel Rain, my partner in crime on Living Split Screen. That's a fact right there. It has been hot and dry everywhere. It is a drought, so the rain is welcome here at all times. This is going to be a great show. Chat, you guys are already hopping, so you know what? It's been kind of a crazy topic time, but we got plenty to talk about, so let's get down to it, PTK.
All right, man. Well, man, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion, man. Another co-host here of the show, man, compatriot here. Centurion, how you been this week, brother?
Oh, man, how you doing? It's been an awesome week. Man, I'm ready to talk games. I haven't been nothing too exciting on Xbox other than have any of you checked out this game called Session?
That sounds familiar. Is it the skateboarding
game?
Skateboarding.
It's a skateboarding game, dude.
Yeah.
This game makes Tony Hawk Pro Skater look like a child's game.
It is. Tony Hawk's kind of arcade-ish. This is more sim, right?
This is more sim. X is push
More
off
like
with
skate.
your right foot.
Skate.
A is push off with your left foot.
Yep.
When you ollie the board, let's talk like Tony Hawk, hit the button, ollie, done. This game, you got to pull back on the right joystick to basically brace your right foot. You got to push forward on the left joystick to basically plant your foot real quick. And then you flip the left joystick to bring your leg back and then bring it right back up. So basically you're controlling the legs and the momentum of the character. And you got to use the joysticks to actually pop the board up and ollie. And if you're trying to get into a grind, you don't just get in the air and just hit the button and grind. You got to actually flare the joysticks out to the side to land the board on the rail and 50-50 it and control the balance with the two joysticks. I mean, it's a very hardcore simulator for skating. And I don't know why. I've just been really enjoying checking it out and trying to really get into the mechanics of it because, man, I just enjoyed skating back in the day. And this is a total different experience when it comes to playing skating on a game.
Word.
Awesome. So glad to hear you've been playing a lot of games this week, man. Glad to see you diving into something different, man. We appreciate you here every single week. Shout out to Stag as well, man, always. Hopefully we see him pop up in the chat a little bit later, man. So last but not least, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man. So how you been, brother? How you feeling this week?
Not too bad. Had to take care of some family stuff last week, but glad to be here. I have to admit, I'm joining the PC Master Race again. Although I'm keeping my consoles, I'm just going to play around, get back into a little bit of game modding and stuff like that. You know,
just getting ready for that Steam Deck, Fuzzy. You getting ready for the Steam Deck, aren't you?
Yeah, I got the 512 on order, so that'll be my portable, and then you know. I don't know. I'm too many toys, but I already agreed that it's going to be like a shared thing between me and the kids. So they'll probably take it over more so than I will. But man, it's good to be here and so much stuff to talk about. So I won't take up any more time. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, people. Once again, chat, we appreciate you guys, man. Shout out to Last Emperor, man. Everybody here in the chat, Shone Sue, everybody hanging out with us, man. We appreciate the love, support, man. Thank you guys so much. Retweet that link. Let everybody know we are live here at the Shop Podcast, man. Let's pack this thing out, man. We got a lot to talk about. As you fall in the chat, say hello. If you're just watching live, hello to you. But let's go ahead and dive in, man. We starting with the poll of the week, as usual, man. Had another amazing poll this week, man. People are liking these FPS. That's 2 weeks in a row we've been talking about Halo and different shooters. So poll of the week this week was Halo, COD, and Battlefield are battling for our time this holiday. If you had to choose only one, which shooter are you playing? So there was actually 3 options: Halo Infinite, Battlefield 2042, and COD. Surprisingly, COD didn't get any votes, and that was a big surprise for me. I thought COD would get a few. So Halo Infinite landslide 81%. Battlefield 2042, 19%, man. People are liking Halo, man. People are loving Halo. So let's dive into this. We'll start with our guest honoree this week, man. Steel Rain, man. What do you think? Which one of you putting the most, of your time in this holiday as far as shooters? I know there's other games coming out around that time. Let's not forget. That's not the only thing we're going to be playing. But from the shooter standpoint, which one are you dumping your time in this holiday?
Man, undeniably is gonna go to Halo, man. I've been talking to Pong in the background, even with Battlefield out, and I'm definitely gonna give that time. But Halo undeniably is going to be the king of my fall and winter. It's just time to get back competitive with it, man. Like again, to show people why Halo has always redefined the genre every time it steps back into the field. I'm a passionate Halo player, man. So I would say Halo. That's my pick.
Okay, I feel the same way too, man. Like there's a part of me, because I mean we're a little bit older, we're a little bit longer in the tooth, when it comes to this gaming thing. But I there's always that want to be good at Halo again. Like I'm not. Listen, I don't want to live in the past because I know we all move forward. But there was a time where I felt like I was pretty damn good at Halo for a period there. And that's kind of gotten away from me. And I've kind of been wanting to test myself a little bit. And this one looks like it's going to just allow me to get in and play. And just the free-to-play option and everything they're doing with the multiplayer, all the different options you're getting. So I'm super excited. Obviously, campaign is going to be what really draws me in ultimately. But I think Halo's going to be huge this holiday. So let's go ahead.
I just have a feeling, my fault real quick. I just have a feeling like, man, Halo's going to again show people why it shouldn't be slept on with everything they're doing with the battle pass and everything. I feel like it's going to again write in stone what is possible as far as like an FPS shooter goes. So, but yeah, man, that's it.
All right, awesome. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong. Let's go ahead and get your opinion, man. Which one are you putting your time in this holiday?
Well, look, first of all, I just want to know why my vote for Call of Duty didn't show up. I don't know what happened here.
Did you vote for COD?
No.
Oh, okay. I'm like, good Lord.
Call of Duty. No, I did not vote for Call of Duty at all. Look. This was a personal question because it said me personally. Everybody already knows I'm a casual Halo fan. So obviously I knew Halo was going to blow it out of the water. But if I had to choose one, it's Battlefield. So I am a Battlefield. I'm a Battlefield freak. I have been waiting for a new modern Battlefield for so long. I have been waiting for them to get back to the basics that we have talked about on this show ever since it was announced, and even prior to it announced when the rumors started coming out. So what they showed, especially on Xbox's stage at E3, has got me so hyped for Battlefield. Not to say I'm not hyped for Halo at all. What Halo showed was amazing. You can go back and watch Mav's video of our live coverage of E3. I was in awe of what I was seeing of Halo. So Halo's got me excited. But man, Battlefield and everything they've come out and talked about. Now they're talking about how they're going to make sure that next gen is playing with, or current gen. We'll finally put that to rest. Current gen is going to be playing with current gen, and last gen is going to be on their own as well. But they're going to have cross-play across all platforms. You're going to be able to pick and choose. If you don't want to play with PC players, you don't have to play with PC players. They're doing everything right up to this point. Now they just got to finish it. And I believe they will, but man, Battlefield looks like it's back. I am so excited because I, again, am a Battlefield veteran. I love Battlefield as my primary FPS back in the day. And so that's the one I'm most hyped for. So if I had to choose, that's it. It's me.
No, that's fair. That's fair. Yeah. Battlefield was a huge game. I feel like we need all these games to kind of balance themselves out again. It's been a little weird the last few years. They kind of always, if we're really being honest, they've kind of always balanced themselves out. Like they give you a little bit of something that the others don't. You know what I'm saying? So, but I do agree. You know, Battlefield is going to be huge. A lot of people are extremely excited. It did really well for its. I think the showing at E3. I mean, it showed extremely well at E3 from just the amount of attention it got to the way it actually showed at the Xbox press conference, and people really, really got into it. So I'm excited. They've done a great job. So we'll see what they do. We'll see what they do this year. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your opinion, man, on which one are you dumping your time into this holiday? Which shooter got your attention?
It's more likely going to be Halo, and it's mainly because of the campaign. I'm more of a campaign guy. I know from a multiplayer standpoint. Yeah, I'm trash at multiplayer, so I'll just leave it at that. But I'll probably dump a good bit of time into the campaign. Also, probably do a second playthrough as far as with co-op or something along those lines. But Halo is going to be the one that's going to get most of my time. But considering my sons want to play Battlefield 2042, I'll be definitely hopping on there as well. But probably nowhere near the amount of time in comparison to Halo. And as far as COD, whatever they release with all hands on deck now, if it's World War II-ish related.
So the crazy thing is, we've all, with as well as Battlefield shown and as well as Halo shown. I'm not gonna say we haven't forgot about Call of Duty, but we haven't seen anything from Call of Duty, and this is not typical. That may be the case, still, Rain, but it's not typical that we don't have anything regarding this new Call of Duty. Like,
up to this point,
it's in trouble.
And so that doesn't bode well, especially knowing that they've come out and said all hands are on deck for Call of Duty. Like nobody else is doing anything else at Activision with Call of Duty. So
nobody's questioning it though either. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Warzone is doing well. Warzone's doing well.
That's what I'm saying. Everybody chilling.
Yeah,
they're on that. They're on that Grand Theft Auto money train.
Yeah,
right
man. That thing is packing in pockets, man. That's that dope money, man. We already know what that looked like. Still, come on now.
That is insane.
Come on now. That's them packs. But anyway, anyway, let's go ahead and throw this over to Centurion, man. Where you at on this, man? Which shooter's getting your attention?
The same shooter that I hustled my butt off for an Xbox back in the day, stood in line for part 3 back in the day. I've never pre-ordered a Call of Duty or Battlefield ever day one. Never been a day one adopter of either Call of Duty or Battlefield. Always been a day one adopter of Halo. I've enjoyed the multiplayer. I've enjoyed the campaign. Not to sound stupid, but I'm emotionally invested when it comes to Master Chief. He's, in my opinion, a very awesome character. There is nothing to write home about on any campaign from any of the Call of Duties or any of that. Yeah, they have some great Michael Bay moments, but there's no continuation of any story. It's always a different story on a different game. It's always a different battle, different set of characters. With Halo,
at one point we had a story. At one point we had a.
At one point, yeah, I know there were stories at the beginning.
Yeah,
but now we're just at that random. Now, what made me like Battlefield more was, I feel Battlefield did a much more. They did a better job of aiming it towards a tribute towards the military and what they went through. I feel like we saw a little bit of that in Call of Duty World War II come out of the campaign. But for the most part, when it comes to Call of Duty, it's all explosions, Michael Bay, shock and awe. I mean, like just straight Hollywood fantasy. Battlefield at least tries to integrate a degree of realism, in my opinion, on the situation, the way the game feels, the way it flows.
Yeah.
But it always comes back
giant
to
tornadoes.
It always comes back to me enjoying Halo, though. I mean, Halo is a different kind of game. I mean, like, when the multiplayer is done right, there is nothing more gratifying than being able to hit and make a jump and you just make these. I remember back in the day, these just long, insane jumps that you from jumping off of stuff like Halo 3, playing shotgun snipers back in the day on that bridge. You would just try to jump as high as you could to be able to lob off a couple rounds with the sniper rifle to the other side, while all the diehards with the shotguns would be running across the bridge to go get each other. Fun times in Halo, just massive fun times that I look forward to anytime I play a Halo title.
No, absolutely. I mean, big. To be honest with you, I have lots of memories with all three. To be honest with you, if we're being wholehearted about the subject, I have a lot of memories with all three. Very fond memories. There was a point where I was playing like nothing but Call of Duty for a stretch, like during the 360 era. But I have fond memories of all three, man. But they're all.
I don't have too many crazy memories on Call of Duty. But for me, outside of Halo, the big one was Battlefield. When in Battlefield 1, where one of my buddies brought in the boat. I forget what map we were on. He had a boat and just all hell broke loose because the other team, for some reason, the guy I was playing with was really good. And when he brought this boat in, he was like one-manning this entire team and all hell was breaking loose. And it was funny as hell.
Yeah, no, that's some epic moments for sure. But man, that is a great warm-up topic, man, as we dive into the first, portion of the show, first quarter of the show, essentially, man. I want to give some quick shout-outs here in the chat. What's up, Blue? What's up, Six Slayer? What's up, She Snow? What's up, Mav, falling in here? Shout out to Fun Speculation, man. Mav, Caitlin, shout out to Pong, man, rocking out you guys over there. They got big things working out on Fridays, man. But what's up, 3-Bit? What's going on? He hopped in here too, man. You got the whole gang in here, Pong.
Oh yeah, they just got that with their new show too. So
yeah. Shout out to
the Mav and Fancy show. So
yeah. Shout out to
they were getting crazy over there talking about.
Shout out to Mav and Caitlin, man. Appreciate you guys stopping in and showing support, man. Good people, man. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with us. But let's go ahead and dive into our next topic, man. So we're going to be talking a little bit about Ghostwire Tokyo being delayed till 2022. Now we have been seeing a lot of this. Obviously, if you're not familiar with, let me rewind. If you're not familiar with Ghostwire Tokyo, that is a game that's being made by Tango Gameworks, which is now a first-party studio at Xbox, but just happens to be just like Deathloop, a exclusive for a year for PS5. So this game is being delayed for a little while. Now I don't have much information on the game. I know there's a lot of information out there. I don't have a ton of information on the game, but the game did look interesting when I went back and watched some of the trailers. Got me excited. So where you guys at on this? We're going to start with you, Steel. I mean, we've been seeing this a lot. People tend to forget that, obviously COVID had an adverse effect on a lot of these devs and a lot of games that, are getting pushed back because of that. We're seeing the ripple effects of that now. Right. So, obviously with that taken into account, still, where you at on this game being delayed? Obviously that means essentially, right, Xbox, we get it a little bit later than we were supposed to as well.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would figure that's going to actually also be true. Again, it's one of those things where it's kind of unfortunate. I didn't have any personal interest within the game, so it doesn't really affect me. Again, it's going to be one of those where I'll see it when it comes into Game Pass. Hopefully, the PlayStation players enjoy it while they have it. And hopefully they'll be able to get part 2, which they probably won't. But it is what it is, man. It's just one of those things. It's part of the game. We went through COVID for a year, man, and everything had to get shut down, and everything has been pushed back. As we've been hearing, you keep your ear to the streets. Everything's been pushed back by at least a year. With a lot of things that are going on just with the devs and everything, and getting back into the office and finally working shoulder to shoulder again. We got this whole Delta variant thing going on now, so it's like there's no telling how things are going to affect things moving forward. But again, if we do get to a sense of normalcy, it could come out sooner. You know what I mean? It's just I just get tired of there being dates or whatever put in place, and I understand there's a point for it, right? You got to set expectation for those who invested in everything else. But it's one of those things. I just wish more devs would just come out and say that the game would be out when it's ready. You know what I mean? So, but other than that, man, that's my take.
Well, I mean, you're preaching to the choir still, but to be 100% honest, that's not good enough for gamers. We don't care either way, actually.
Yeah, I know. I
mean, you're not really going to please all of us. So, I mean, ultimately, but, I mean, there's a lot of devs that come out and be honest, they still get shredded for it. So I do understand the apprehension by some devs to throw out the date, obviously to maybe give themselves a little bit of a life raft, so so to speak. If the date does get moved, they can at least say, hey, we did have an initial, standard. We have an initial date. So let's go ahead and keep this thing moving, man. But appreciate your point. Let's go ahead and actually throw this over to you, Fuzz. Get your opinion, man. Obviously, the crucial thing is, let's not forget, this is Xbox first party studio in Japan, located there. So this is big for Xbox as well. Obviously, this is the game that they're working on previously before being purchased. So this is a big deal. I don't know if this moves anything else back that, I mean, we assume, let me know if this is correct for us. Weren't they doing something else as well? Not just this game?
There is a possibility that they might be working on another Evil Within, but their main focus is going to be Ghostwire right now. I was looking forward to this one a little bit more so than Deathloop, but and it'd be one of those things I'd probably wind up buying it on PlayStation and then just downloading it again for the achievements on the Xbox end. But it is what it is now. With like Steele said, COVID is we're going to have the the fallout or the after effects of COVID for probably the next couple of years. I mean, with the company I work for, we're now starting to talk about a hybrid schedule where you come in a couple of days during the week type of thing, and then the rest of the time is work from home. And then slowly but surely we're going to probably go back to full in person or full on site type of deal. But I can only imagine with them during the purchasing process and the the adjustments they've had to make with COVID, it's for the best to have them delayed as opposed to just kind of rushing things out. And things along those lines. But the sad part is from a Game Pass standpoint, it's going to be delayed a little bit longer because I think they have at least a 1 year exclusive
a year.
Deal. So 1 year from whenever it releases. Unfortunately, they didn't have it where it was like to a fixed clock. It's at a moving clock from whenever it releases. But at least on the PlayStation end of things, at least they have Deathloop to still look forward to this year in September. But it kind of sucks, but it's for a better. It's all for the best for the fact that we've had too many games kind of rushed out, come out broken, or have to have like day one patches. Well, that's kind of still the norm, but let's try to at least release a game in its best state at launch, as opposed to just kind of trying to stick to a date and burning out the devs, trying to work hard to get it out on time or earlier than they should. But that's all I got.
And ultimately that's what matters. At the end of the day, that's ultimately what matters for the most part. That's what's going to carry the most weight, because if this thing comes out busted and broken, and people are going to have a lot of issues with that. So I mean, people are extremely excited for the game. I am. Like I said, I went back and watched a couple of the trailers. It showed extremely well, looked fun. I'm not exactly sure if it's going to be like a day one or anything like that for me, but as we get more information regarding the game, we see more, then I'll make a decision a little bit later on. But the game looks great. And it's a fantastic dev. They do great work. If you guys don't know, once again, chat, the Tango Gameworks, the makers of Evil Within as well. So obviously we all understand how great that game was, how underrated that game was when it came out. So we appreciate you guys. Shout out to the chat, man. Loving you guys so much. Thank you for hanging out with us. Let's actually throw this over to you, Centurion. Get your opinion on this delay, man. Was it a game you were looking forward to anyway?
Was it a game I was looking forward to? No. Is it a game I'll check out when it comes across my attention? Yes. But it's really tragic that we're actually going to see a lot of games probably start getting delayed. I mean, we had a lot of game reveals and a lot of dates given at E3 or numerous events around E3. And regretfully, everybody was talking about how stacked 2021 is, and I mean, we've already got, let's see, Ghostwire Tokyo delayed, Warhammer 40,000 Dark Tide gets delayed, Rainbow Six Extraction just got delayed. I think I've also got something out kind of float around saying that also Riders Republic has been delayed. And we're seeing delays all across the industry from different devs. This is not just Xbox trying to somehow finagle their way to make PlayStation look bad by holding back games and making sure their ecosystem has no games. This is just a result of something that was completely out of everyone's hands, and the world is still trying to figure its way through all this. I mean, at least in my industry, I've actually had some businesses in my industry actually completely adopt a new way of doing business because they found out that doing it from home was cheaper for them, and they've completely restructured. I mean, I deal with a lot of sales agents now that literally are from their home, and they tell me that their companies are actually they're moving more people back home than they are actually reopening businesses because they don't want to pay for the air conditioning. They don't want to pay for the structure. They don't want to pay for the landscaping guy to go out and maintain everything and make the building look nice. I mean, at one point in time, I knew somebody who worked for Discover Card. The plants outside, the plants in the lobby, the plants that they had everywhere were leased. They didn't even own the plants that were on the property. They leased them and had a company come take care of the plants on the property. That completely blew my mind. And so, I mean, definitely the world is definitely changing. It's regretful that there is going to be a lot of game delays, but at least, let's look at the bright side. We're still going to get these games. The industry found a way. There is going to be some bright sides that come out of this. We're going to stop probably seeing games like Fuzzy touched on this. We're going to probably stop seeing games being released in disastrous conditions with bugs, glitches, and all the other BS in between that totally affects the launch of a game. It definitely shows devs that they got to be accountable for the product that they put out. They just can't throw something out there and try to play Kevin Costner over here at the Field of Dreams of if we build it, they will come. There has to be definitely some answers when a game is released in a state where it's unplayable with like Cyberpunk on the last gen consoles. So I just see a lot of developers and publishers that don't want to basically shoot themselves in the foot like CD Projekt Red did with Cyberpunk, because we all saw how a company was like considered the best next thing since sliced bread, and now it's nothing like that for that company, all because of a glitched game.
So no, I understand that, man. There's a lot that goes into this, man, and we definitely want to see games come out in the best possible state that they can come out in. So I think that's obviously going to be priority here for anybody that actually cares about the game at all, So do understand that. So let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong, before we wrap this topic up, brother. Where you at on this? Were you even looking forward to this game? I mean, once again, I had to kind of refresh my memory. I knew the game was coming out, but I had to kind of look over the game. But the game looks great. I mean, it looks fun. So was this a game that was on your radar already, or kind of where you at on the delay?
Yeah, no, it was definitely on my radar because we've talked about it on this show too. For me, as I get older, horror games just don't cut it as much anymore. So Evil Within is not something I can enjoy, but I can definitely appreciate what Tango does. But with Ghostwire Tokyo, it definitely gave off a totally different vibe, that kind of futuristic Tokyo. You got supernatural powers yourself to combat. Again, you give me enough weapons, you give me enough powers to go along with the horror, and I can handle it. Right. So that's where I'm at. So, yeah, I was definitely looking forward to this one. It was definitely on my radar. Obviously, I already knew I wasn't going to be able to play it right away because it was going to be a PlayStation 5 exclusive for a bit. So, again, I put it on the back burner as soon as it comes to Game Pass, we're good to go. So, as far as the delay goes, yeah, I mean, everybody's hit the nail on the head. There's not a whole lot more we can say at this point. We've seen so many delays. And I think anybody that was paying attention learned their lesson from Cyberpunk. I think that if there's one good thing that came out of the Cyberpunk situation is that developers and publishers had to take a big step back and go, well, maybe we should not push out a game just to push out a game anymore. It might cause us some pretty significant financial ruin. And again, I absolutely love Cyberpunk. It was my game of last gen. And so, but from the overall standpoint, from how people responded, I definitely think people are thinking about that now, if they weren't before. So I think that any delay is a good delay. If you feel that your game needs more polish, if it needs more time, keep it in the oven, keep baking away, and don't worry about the time frame. We've got plenty of content. We are definitely not in any type of game drought, and it looks like this gen we are not going to have any game droughts at any given point. It looks like we are going to have something new to play, depending on where you're at, with what consoles you may own. But Xbox alone is going to be supplying a crazy amount of games to us. So between that and games that we have not gotten to yet, I'm not worried about any kind of delays. I want the games to come out when they believe that they are ready, so that we get the best experience possible. So this is all good for me. I'll be waiting patiently for Ghostwire Tokyo down the road, and I have zero issues with it whatsoever. So.
Awesome. And like you said before, I think obviously priority here is if you care about the game, you want the game to come out in the best possible state, because we are if a game comes out bad, we're definitely going to talk about it.
Yeah.
Real quick, if I could add on to that, because Pong kind of like made me think about it. Just because you have the ability to day one patch a game is not an excuse to release a game like that, because we all saw with Cyberpunk that mentality, well, we could just patch it. Well, they weren't able to patch it right away. It took some time. And that just to hold that, well, we can patch it. That whole we can patch it mentality bit Cyberpunk in the ass. And I think that was a wake up call for anybody who had that mentality of we can just patch it, because it was the first time you ever saw a company be like, well, we just can't patch it right away.
Right. And nowadays, again, with all the content that we are seeing, your game will be forgotten extremely fast unless it is something gigantic. But even Cyberpunk just got an extreme amount of hate, some of it unwarranted, in my opinion, but it got an extreme amount of hate for a very long time on social media, and then it disappeared off everybody's radar. Yep. Now, people are secretly playing it because PlayStation put it back on their store, and it was the #1 downloaded game on PlayStation Store. So people are still secretly playing it, but your game will be forgotten. If you are not a gigantic game, if you are something like a Ghostwire Tokyo, and you come out and you trip out the gate, there's too much other stuff to keep people's attention. They'll forget you right away, and it'll be over with. Hood, Outlaws, and Legends is a perfect example. I use it all the time for a couple different reasons. I believe that game should have been in Game Pass day one to give it a chance.
You had me hyped for that game, man. I did not have you hyped.
I did not have you hyped for that game. I said that it was going to be an interesting test subject, that game should have been in Game Pass day and date, because it's going to need
I remember it.
It's going to need an active player base. And guess what happened? It came out the gates. It wasn't finished. They only had a couple levels. And guess what? Everybody has forgotten about that game. There are so many multiplayer, co-op games out there right now. Nobody even cares about that game. Nobody's talking about it. The devs are still working on it. Give them props. But again, without that player base, it's a dead game now. So that's just the way it is.
Yeah. Hype was the wrong term. More along the lines of I at least had higher hopes for that game, because I heard you talk about it, and I was like, oh, there's that game that Pong always mentioned. I haven't really heard very much about it. I
mentioned it for different reasons. I thought it had potential, and I thought it would have done great in Game Pass, and it had at least a chance at life. But as we've seen, that's not the case. So.
Yeah, it's tough out there. And like you said, as these we got a lot of shit coming out to play. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that we're going to be able to play. And this is the tip of the iceberg. The machine really hasn't gotten going yet. Exactly. So once we get things going next year, summer next year, fall year after that, they're not fall, spring after that, it's going to get crazy, so we'll see. So let's go ahead and keep things moving, man. Once again, shout out to everybody in chat. Appreciate you guys hanging out with us. Hit the like button, retweet, let everybody know we're live here at the Shop Podcast. Fall in with us, man. Join up in the chat. What's up, Chris Hart? Appreciate you. Last Emperor, Boogie, shout out to everybody hanging out. She Snow again. Thank you guys for the love and support. We're going to be moving on, man. We're talking a little bit about this Steamdeck, man. This thing dropped like I don't want to say a megaton, but it definitely feels like one. Like, I'm not gonna lie, like it came out of nowhere. And remember what Gabe Newell said, and I told Fuzz this. he mentioned somebody asked him a question
Yeah.
on stage.
At the
He was
school.
at some college.
They were like a high school or
exactly.
something
And
like
he
that.
said our response to your question is going to be we have a response to that this year. I don't know. Did he say fall later this year?
Later this year,
specifically
he said.
when.
Yeah.
I think he was talking about this.
Oh yeah.
I think that's what he was talking. Unless there's something bigger coming up this later on this year. I mean, it could be possible, but this is pretty fucking huge, man. This device is amazing, man. It does a little bit of everything. It's a pocket PC in every sense of the manner. Premium pocket PC, you know, with the NVMe SSD. You know, I think it essentially, I think it's like 1.8 terabyte, essentially like a PS4, right? Like level device.
It's just under 2 teraflops.
Yeah.
But if you look at the power with the Zen 2 and the RDNA 2, and again, I'm no tech guy, but I've certainly listened to enough. 3-bit broke it down a little bit, you know, so I've heard about it. It slots right in as about as powerful as a base PS4 original,
which is that's pretty. I mean, that's where people,
with some upgrades too, because there's other features in there that they're going to be able to use.
Exactly. And there's some really cool software in there as well that it's utilizing to be able to do that. So it's a really capable machine. I definitely see this as something for more hardcore. A lot of people saw that, obviously, due to the timing right after us getting the announcement for the Switch OLED. People are like, oh, this is a slap in the ass. Like, this is exactly what Nintendo needs. No, Nintendo's not going to do anything different. So I'm sorry to disappoint you guys. They're not going to do anything different.
What? I heard they were boarding up shop already.
That Switch OLED is going to sell like crazy. It's going to sell like crazy when it comes out. And then obviously maybe down the line they'll finally upgrade the hardware and people are going to buy that thing like crazy as well. So, but anyway, it's not about that. This is about Steam Deck. So we're going to start with you still. First of all, do you have your pre-order? Is this something that you're looking forward to? And just what do you think about the idea of the machine, man? Be it the fact that we've never really had something like this on the market that was like legitimate.
As far as it being legitimate, there's always been something like pocket PCs, right? But as far as like as it goes, they've always been $1,000+, which isn't necessarily reasonable for the kind of device that it is, right? What's crazy about this device is that Steam came out of nowhere and kind of just laid it out on the table. Not only at a competitive price at $400 for the entry, which I'm not going to recommend anybody to get, but even at a cool $600 for a mobile device that is technically a PC in your pocket, which you could end up turning it into. There's so many benefits to it, man. Do I have it pre-ordered? No, I have no personal interest in it. I don't move around like that. My gaming experience is I like to sit down in front of my TV, my monitor, whatever the case might be, and at my hardware when I play my games instead of on a handheld device. It's another one of those things where even in docked mode, it wouldn't necessarily be a necessity for me. Now, if I wanted to be petty, it would definitely be an emulation beast for me.
Yeah, we talked about that pregame.
Exactly. And see, my PC currently could be also be an emulation beast, but it's one thing if you could have something that's mobile and on the go that you can take to a family member's house, pop it on the TV, and you have access to these thousands of games that you've collected together, and have a whole different experience, and really create memories with each other that way. That would be one way to really look at it, and that's something that I'm definitely would look at into the future. I want to see how Steam reiterates on this. I do want to eventually hold one in hand at some point, just to see how I feel about where the controls are, right? The thumbstick seem to be in a good place. The touchpad seem to be in a solid place. But that button placement, man, I like to have my fingers on both sticks and still have full access to the buttons, because I play claw with a lot of my controllers. So I don't know if that's going to be comfortable for me, man, but it could be. I'm really interested to hold one in person to see what it's really hitting for. But I feel like Steam really went about an excellent way as far as like establishing it and making sure that they could service it out to the people who want it.
Yeah, that's basic.
This device is for the hardcore, man. I mean, it's not like I'm not saying that casuals wouldn't be looking into it, or somebody who may be interested in something like this wouldn't look into it. But if you don't have a Steam account, you weren't getting one. And just that by itself, taking into consideration, I just feel like they did everything that they could to, make it an easy process or as easy as it could be without, even with the networks getting flooded and everything. I just see there's a lot of potential. This opens up many doors, depending on how well DLSS continues to get used. The same thing with the Fidelity FX, with it just being more of a software-based kind of thing where you could just slide it on top and make games run better. The device, again, like you guys were saying, has those PlayStation 4 kind of capabilities. As far as like, quote unquote power wise, but if you unlock that full PC potential out of it too, it just opens the door for a lot of things. I just feel like the battery life is going to be a concern for a lot of people, though, man. It's going to end up being a device you're going to have to keep plugged in. Because let's face it, you're going to have Steam on there, but if you play Halo Infinite on there, and I think after like an hour or so, it might die. You know what I mean? But yeah, man,
that's interesting. That's interesting. A lot of those things, obviously, we'll get information about the more details, battery life, comfortability. Although I've heard some people that have, I assume that have, played with it. I think some journalists as well have talked about it already. That it gets comfortable. You got to get used to it. So we'll see. I mean, that's obviously the jury's out on that. But obviously, the idea, I think this is something that's needed. It definitely has a space. There's definitely a consumer for it, especially at that $400 price point. If you're a hardcore gamer, this is something that like you said, I don't do a whole lot of mobile either. I'll be honest with you. I don't do moving around gaming a whole lot. Call me whatever you want to call me, traditionalist, but I don't do a whole lot of. My wife has a Switch. She uses it pretty much at the house and just walking around the crib, or every now and then we'll go out and she'll take it with her. But we just game at home for the most part. So this doesn't really hurt me. I do like the tech though. Like you said, it pushes this space. I don't really think it's going to push Nintendo at all, because they market to two different people. People are Nintendo, the IPs established Nintendo. It's not necessarily the hardware. It's Mario.
Yeah.
It's Link. You know what I'm saying? So hardware, is undeniable. Software is undeniable with Nintendo, and people are still going to pick up, those DSs and whatever other versions they come out with, the Switch Pros, whatever, because they have those IPs. But either way, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Pong. Let's mix this thing up just a little bit and just get your opinion on this Steamdeck, man. I know you're where you at on this, man? Did you already pre-order this thing? Where you kind of at on it?
No, I can't budget it in this year. It's just it's too much. So I got to wait until next year. Got it. But for me, I'm excited. I'm extremely hyped for it. If I could have done it, I definitely would have. I've gone for the 512. This has got me excited from the standpoint of a couple different things. So I guess number one, I love that tech, when tech pushes a certain segment of the industry forward, or the entire industry forward, but this specifically being the handheld market, pushing it forward. Now, again, is it going to change Nintendo? No, it's not. Could it eventually speed up some of their decisions? Maybe it could. We'll see going down the road. It's going to take a little bit of time to get that install base, to get it in people's hands. And obviously, we're not going to know. We'll know more, but until it's in the real world applications, we're not going to get a good idea of if this thing lives up to what everybody believes it could be at this point. But undeniably, Gabe and Valve came out with a specific purpose. They did what they did on purpose, right? On the same day that people were pre-ordering the Switch, they dropped it, and they dropped it at the price points they did. Gabe himself came out, and I believe he described it as painful for the price points. He did say that, they were a little shocked themselves about what they came in at, but he said it was necessary. He knows that they are going to be the first ones out the gate. Now, there's been other pocket PCs out there before, but they've been ultra expensive. They've been underpowered. They have not lived up to the hype. I think Gabe saw an opportunity at this point, now that AMD with their tech has gotten the chips, obviously with power and heat being the biggest concerns, to be able to shrink something down to this size, that AMD has pushed forward enough to get it to this point. And I think he wanted to jump and try to gain the advantage within that space to get ahead of the competition that no doubt will be coming along very soon. I would imagine, especially if the pre-orders of this thing are any indication. Yes, it's going to always be the hardcore out the gates, but the numbers are still pretty impressive for what they did. Because everybody was just reserving a spot to have the potential to buy it once the orders go live, right? So I think it had a great first day showing, especially since it came out of left field. Everybody only had a very short time frame to wrap their heads around what they were seeing and what they were getting into. But very quickly, I think as people read about it, and they described it as straight up a PC. There was no question about that. They reiterated it time and time again. This is a handheld PC, period. You're going to be able to do everything that you do on your PC on this handheld. Period. Right. There's no ifs, ands, or buts. For all you hardcore people out there that want to put different OSs in here, you can put different OSs. And obviously, changing out the operating system suddenly opens up the door for a bazillion other things. They even flat out said, you want to put other storefronts on there? Go ahead, put other storefronts on there. So that right there, I think, is the excitement, because I'm not a PC guy at all. Everybody who knows me knows I'm a straight console guy. I had one small portion of my teenage life that I played PC games. Otherwise, I have always been console because I want to sit in front of my big screen. I have a Steam account. I don't even know why I have a Steam account. I think they were giving away free games at some point or something. I grabbed a couple, right? So I that's the only reason why I even have a Steam account. But for me, again, the first point that I was saying was that this tech is going to push the industry forward from a handheld PC standpoint, which is exciting to me. It may even push Nintendo a little bit down the road, which is exciting for me because I want Nintendo to be better, to be bigger, to be like the old days where they thought that, maybe they should have something that was up to date or at least close to up to date tech wise. I want them to get back to that. That's my own selfish reasons. Again, nothing but respect for the hustle and what Nintendo does over there. Nothing, again, they've developed a great fan base. They don't have to change one iota if they don't want to, but I'm hoping that this might get them to at least start thinking about stuff like this in the future. And number two, for me, this would be the perfect companion console to what I've got going on. I would use it undocked, handheld mode for bedtime, that kind of stuff. It wouldn't be very frequent. It's not like I'm going to carry this thing around all the time, but I'm interested in the dock potential. I'm interested in what this is going to be able to do for me sitting in front of my big screen with a Steam account to have access to not only Xbox games, to have not only PlayStation games, and we already know that down the road here, places are going to be putting more and more of their first party stuff on there. And if the output is what we think the output is, that it's going to work like a PC and you can adjust the settings so that I can get the resolution on my big screen up to 1080, 1440. Again, I don't have the greatest FOMO. I've gotten rid of all my FOMO for exclusives and that kind of stuff. This could just become my PS5 eventually, depending on what they do down the road. I could just get everything on PC version of PS5, anything I want to play, and play it on my big screen with a controller, my Xbox controller, whatever the case may be. So I get those. And then I also get all my PC games that I have been missing, which is huge. My RTS games. I can dock this thing, have it on my big screen, have a wireless keyboard and mouse, because I hate playing in front of a monitor. That's why I won't, that's why I'll never be a full-time PC gamer in any way, shape, or form. But this thing would open up those niche games that I don't have access to. Also give me access to those indie games that they have that we don't see on console ever, or we don't see on console for a while down the road, because I love my indie games as well. So that'll give me an access to a library of games that I personally right now don't have, which is fantastic. The Steam sales are outrageous. Taking advantage of those for the games that I don't necessarily need to have on dedicated hardware, as far as like my Xbox goes, man, that'd be fantastic to save some bucks there. Because again, I am a budget gamer. And then, like Steele alluded to, the emulation possibilities here are huge. The homebrew, the modding scene is so gigantic. And what they've done, they've made it a lot simpler than it was back in the day to get these kind of mod apps and different, different programs up and running. And if this thing is what people think it is, then I can have my Dreamcast library right there. I can have a PS3 library right there. I can have anything I want right there in front of me that I can just flip on all in one device. This really is the device that I've been thinking about, that I've always kind of wanted. I've always said from day one, in the perfect world, we'd all have one console where we can just buy everything on it, and that's it. That's the kumbaya, right? That would be the ultimate time, but that's not where we're at. But this thing right here, the Steam Deck, has the potential to be close to that, where I can have a whole lot of different content from different places, all in one device, ready to rock and roll. But again, we won't know until we see it, but the community is obviously excited about it. My Twitter feed was just lit up with everybody showing that they were getting reservations, the $5, putting the $5 down for these things. And so we're going to have, especially within this community right here, we're going to have a whole lot of people on a whole lot of different sides. We're going to have the hardcore PC people. We're going to have the console people, all trying it out and using it in different ways. So we're going to get a real clear view of this thing real fast once it starts dropping getting into people's hands. And that's what I'm excited about. So next year, if this thing holds true, I definitely will be getting ready to buy one. So.
All right. Well, no, I mean that's the versatility is what I was talking about earlier. Like what is going to open? I'm just curious, like you said, when it gets in people's hands, what are people going to do? There's some people that there's some very, very, very smart people that are out there that are going to do some very creative things with this handheld. That are going to try some very creative things, and we're going to be extremely surprised at what people are going to be able to pull off. On this handheld. So I'm just waiting to see, like you said, Pong. Great opinion, great follow up there. Let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Fuzz. I already know you pre-ordered it. You came in the gate. You already told us. You walked in the door talking about it. So where are you at on this? I mean, obviously, this is what we talked about, Fuzz. Me and Fuzz always talk about this stuff, in party chat and text and stuff back and forth. And we talked about what does this mean. What is Valve going to do? And I pointed out the fact that is this what Gabe was talking about when he got asked that question at that college? And I think you said it. You're pretty sure it was. But where are you at on this now that you got it pre-ordered and we've gotten some information about it?
Well, just being a tech enthusiast, I guess you could say, and a gamer, it was one of those things where I was kind of on the fence because of the button placement. I was like, well, it makes more sense if they just put these things in like a Best Buy or GameStop. Not to sell them, but like in box at the store type of thing, but at least have like the display there. You can hold it, play a game. All right, I want to put in my pre-order. That's what I was hoping for. But since that was a no-go, I'm like, if I wait, then these things aren't going to be available for who knows how long type of deal. So I was like, for what this will be for my household, because my kids have their own gaming rigs, like 1080p, 60 frames type systems, like with a 1660 Supers. This will be a good portable version of their desktop, kind of. So for the times where, because they can't just play 4 or 5 hours straight on the weekend, they have to alternate like an hour on, hour off type of deal. This would make like for a good change up. So that way they can, try some games that they play. Like right now, one of my sons is playing PC Part Builder or the PC Builder game. And the other one, I think he tried was that split screen, split space, split gate, yeah. So this will be good for the household, and also in the sense when they go to visit the grandparents and stay there for a week, the grandparents aren't buying a Series S to have at the house or anything like that, and they're definitely not building a second PC over there, and they're not taking either one of them over there. And I'm not going to do the screen thing for the Series S for them just yet, but having something like this that they can take and they have pretty much their entire Steam library at their hands is awesome. And let's not forget, we've been hearing rumors or seeing some, friendliness between Phil and Gabe. And we were like, oh, is it going to be like some sort of Game Pass thing on Steam or Steam on Series X or whatever? Well, we kind of, I guess, now know what it's going to be, since you can install like the Epic Store, and I'm pretty sure you can install the Xbox app or have, the browser go to, xbox.com/play and have access to your Game Pass Ultimate or Game Pass, library right there. So there's a lot of, I won't say pro-consumer because that's just a catchphrase term, but it's like there's just so much potential with this thing, just from the day-to-day stuff. And then like Rain and Pong were saying, having this as an emulation machine, like we all poke fun at Chris in the chat about, PlayStation titles are coming to Steam and to PC and blah, blah, blah. And eventually they're going to be day and date. Whether they're day and date or not, I can play PlayStation games on this thing. I can play Xbox games on this thing. I can play all the games that can't be played on any console, like Escape from Tarkov, on this thing. So it's just the best of all worlds, and all in one. Like this is what Xbox One should have been, type of thing, when they were talking about, it's the one space or one device for everything. No, this is the one device for everything. And if you want to go with the different ROMs and things like that, you can play old Nintendo games, old Dreamcast games. I mean, the potential is endless on this thing. I mean, yes, it's not as powerful as the current gen consoles. That's fine. It's portable. You'll be able to play them, and it's like, this is like when if you have like one main TV with the console, and the wife wants to see something that you don't want to see, or something like where you want to continue gaming but she wants to watch a show. I mean, it's always better to be happy than to be right and just let her have the TV type of thing. I'll probably get myself in trouble for this, but anyway, having something portable like this goes a long way. And the price was reasonable for the 512. The 256 was good as well. The 64, I think, in the grand scheme of things, it would probably be best. Like, although I'm not buying two of these things, and I couldn't figure out a way to add two to cart, because it would have been the other way around. Would have been just get two of the 64 gig ones for the boys, and then that's theirs, and they can figure out how they want to play on that type of thing. But yeah, for the most part, I'm excited for it, and Nintendo is going to keep on being Nintendo.
Oh yeah.
But it's funny. It's like the timing of this. This is almost like the Series X at the VGA's moment. It's like, let's get pre-orders ready for the Switch OLED. Oh, by the way, there's like the grown ass man version coming out, and it's coming from Valve. So it's like, I'm I won't say this is perfect. It'll definitely, if this catches on, it'll definitely be better by like the second or third iteration. But for a start, this is kicking the door wide open straight out the gate. So
absolutely,
I couldn't pass it up.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and what was kind of exciting too, I don't mean to jump in here, but I forgot I was going to mention it. But IGN did confirm on Twitter today that they were playing all those games that we saw on the video off the regular SD card. So they weren't even playing it off the SSD. So they were playing Jedi Fallen Order off of just a regular old SD card in the expansion part, and it was working great. So that's key right there. That's going to be huge. So
you can pick up a 1 terabyte one for about the price of the expansion card for the consoles now.
Right, exactly.
Yeah, that's crazy. So we'll definitely see like I said, flexibility is bridging a gap. Like it's a community. It does a lot of different things all in one machine. I don't know if we've ever seen a handheld that's so flexible, and as powerful as it is, as flexible it is, as open source as it is, as far as pricing, it's reasonable for the tech, especially, where it starts at. Now, obviously the SSD at that point, is a bit, smaller, but obviously there's a bit of a trade-off there. But anyway, let's go ahead and throw this over to you, Centurion, before we wrap this topic up and move on. Where are you at on this, Centurion? I don't know if you pre-order one, but just where you at on the tech and just the idea of the Stream Deck or Steam Deck. I said stream. El Gato, don't sue me for that. Go ahead, bro.
No, I did not pre-order one. And okay, for starters, to just kind of show, the Steam Deck is honestly a really great idea. You're right. It's going to bridge that gap. We're going to blur the lines even more between console and PC. It's absolutely amazing right now to be a gamer. The docking it has more of an interest to me. They said that there was going to be like a third-party dock, but I know you can connect it anyways to a TV, but eventually they're going to have a dock for it to go into to go to your TV. And the reason why that's more interesting to me is I've always wanted to build in my mind what I refer to in my head as an entertainment-based PC, basically a tower that would be hooked directly to my TV, that its main purpose in life is to provide me with entertainment that is actually pretty much locked down to the internet. Some of the best way to see some of this stuff is to still use, is to not use the apps or the interfaces or the third-party ways of doing it. Sometimes it's best just to go straight to the internet to get some of this entertainment. And I've always wanted to have a PC that would be hooked up to my entertainment center, and I feel like this Steamdeck would be perfect for that, because I really am more interested in the emulation or the older games that you can play on it, because the newer stuff, I'm going to play that on my Series X, my PS5, my bigger consoles. I mean, I don't have enough time to really get into any form of mobile gaming, whether it's a cell phone, the Switch, this thing. I work a lot. There's going to be no way that I'm just going to be like, oh, hey, I'm going to take that with me, and in my spare time today, I'm going to play some of my Xbox games. For the most part, I try to get my gaming in at home on my great big 60-inch 4K television. Yes, I know this thing is going to definitely be really great in those moments for, going somewhere or not having access to those consoles. But at least right now where I'm at in my life, those moments are few and far between. So I feel like I'm with Pong on, I'm going to probably sit back. I'm going to see how this goes. There's still a couple questions I have for the device that I want to see how it unfolds, especially when it comes to how they talk about that a lot of the games on Steam are Linux based, and that there's some complications there when it comes to some multiplayer games, because the anti-cheat software does not like Linux. So that's where they're already talking about how some multiplayer games right now don't exactly have a solution on being able to play them. I think some of the ones that came up were Apex something Legends, what was it? Rainbow Six Siege also was thrown in there. Destiny came up, but there was already something that came out about Destiny is actually working with Steamdeck to actually fix this issue. So that's where I'm in the pattern of where I just want to sit back and see how this kind of unfolds and really see if this turns into the amazing device that it sounds that it could be.
No, absolutely. And I think that's a great take at it as well. Sit and wait kind of approach to it. It's extremely new tech. I think we're all excited. I can't say we won't expect. Now I'm gonna go back to you on this one still before we move on to the next topic. I can't say, we won't expect any hiccups along the way. I think it'd be unrealistic to think that there won't be any hiccups. So any apprehension before we move on to the next topic, just for you specifically here as our guest, any apprehension you have as far as maybe things that you're like, I need to maybe take an extra look at?
As far as the Steam Deck goes, still?
Yeah.
Anything that I just need to get it. I want to get it in hand, man. That's my main thing. To see if it's really going to be worth what they're saying. There's too many times where these advertisements go out and they advertise it as one thing. They say it can do all these great things, and then people get it in hand, and then it does not. It is not capable of doing any of those things. Hopefully, it's not locked down to anything. Again, we can only go based off of rumors right now, but the main thing for me is just getting it in hand. Again, if it's a portable PC, I don't see any negatives to it, honestly, other than battery life. And it being, for a lot of people, something that ends up becoming stationary, because I think that takes away some of the value from it, at least from me personally. Though I can understand why people would, why they're highly interested in it and why the pre-orders have been going crazy. So no negatives from me so far.
Awesome. Okay, cool. All right, awesome. So let's go ahead and move on to the next topic, man. We're going to go ahead and throw a couple quick shout outs, man. Seeing some awesome people in here. What's up, Victor Alstein? We got SB in the house. We got Mr. Kima just dropped in. Six Slayer, man. Appreciate all you guys hanging out in the chat, man. Thank you guys so much for the support. Retweet the show, like the show on your way in. We appreciate that. Every single like, man, does greatly help the show be seen, helps the show be, viewed by more people. What's up, Delilah? How you doing, love? So shout out to Delilah, Grown Women Gaming, GWG. Shout out to all the ladies for sure. But let's go ahead and move on to, and this was kind of, I think I got the right person on for this topic this week. I'm gonna be honest with you still. This last one here, me and Fuzz kind of throw, we talk a little bit about topics in the podcast DMs, but me and Fuzz kind of talk about topics throughout the week as well. And this one is another one that he kind of brought up, and I thought about it. I said, should we even really talk about this? Like, we never really broke it down. So we're going to be talking a little about casual versus core, and not from the perspective that you might think. You know, essentially we're talking about accessibility and entitlement here is what we're talking about still. So where are we at with the accessibility issue? And obviously people have had issue with people playing games on easier difficulties, not playing on harder difficulties, saying that's not the way the game's being meant to play it. Obviously with you know, certain reviewers, we've had this issue. We've obviously had gamers on the other side of the fence. The gatekeeping has kind of become a problem.
Yes. Yeah.
If we're gonna be honest, if I can, you know, play both sides of the fence here. So kind of where you at on this? I don't think we've addressed this specifically on the podcast. And chat, I really want you guys' opinion on this. Shout out to Delilah. Delilah, let me know how you feel about this, because I feel like you gotta have a great opinion. But Victor, thank you. Let me get the super chat real quick. Victor, $5 super chat says supports. Let me just throw this up, man. There we go. Support. Let's not forget Alienware showed there last year. Hope this reignites the gaming handheld competition. So shout out to you, bro. Appreciate you, Victor. Yeah, we definitely do agree. Hopefully that opens up some more innovation in that space, Vic. But thank you so much. But let's go ahead and throw this to you, Rain. Where you at on this entitlement versus accessibility? We've seen both sides, man.
Honestly, for lack of a better term, it's become extremely childish, man. We come into this space to be just to be within our passion, to be within our hobby, to be in a place where we don't feel like we should be judged for enjoying gaming overall, right? The biggest thing for me, man, I live on two ends of the spectrum. I want the people who develop these games, the visionaries, to fully bring their idea to life. That's something that's extremely important to me. So when you have a dev, like for example, From Software, that says we're not putting an easy mode in our games, you have to respect that decision, because at the end of the day, it is their game, and not everybody has to play their game, and they understand that. That's why they create it the way they make it. If the devs are putting an easier difficulties in the game, there's a reasoning for it, because they wanted to be able to they want anybody to be able to have access to it, no matter what your skill level may be, right? The only time it becomes a problem, and I feel like people really blow this stuff out of the water, is when people lie about or aren't very transparent about when they review games, or when they're giving an opinion about games, where it becomes kind of iffy for me, right? Because you can't say that a game was too easy and you were playing the game on easy. That doesn't go hand in hand with each other. Now, as far as like accessibility goes, if there's somebody who may be handicapped, again, for us normies, I know it's hard to understand people who may have some kind of a handicap or a disability. There's a reason that Xbox put out the adaptive controller. There's a reason why there are so many other accessibility options, as far as USB plug-in devices that can be used for people who may not have the same functions me and you have, right? And people tend to forget that. And it's crazy to me that in a space that's supposed to be about the games, about having fun, about really pulling yourself out of the real world, to put you in this virtual space, that these people that are like, they paint these Picassos, and you don't want people who don't want to play the game on hard or normal or whatever your clarification of what they should as a true gamer to handicap anybody's experience. I don't get that personally. And the constant attacks that people throw on the people, where they have to make it personal, it just shows to me, man, look, I grew up with the internet, right? I've been doing this thing for a while. I'm not surprised by a lot of the things that go on here. People tell me all the time, like, "Yo, you got to watch out for this." It's like, man, I've been doing this for a while. I grew up with this. I remember what dial-up was. You know what I mean? So it's like, in that entire era, I was there for us, and I've been around the whole internet, bullying and everything. It just shows to me that a lot of people are just crying out for help. The ones that are just looking for a reason or to gatekeep per se. And that's what makes it sad to me, because we got so many other things to think about and to worry about than whether you're playing on hard or easy. What are you playing on? Why are you sitting here typing on Twitter instead of playing your game on hard, if that's what you want to play it on, since you're complaining about people playing it on easy? As far as like the whole review process go, I mean, that's a completely different conversation. But again, it just always lends right back into transparency. If you're playing games on easy, say you're playing it on easy, and come from that perspective. But people really shouldn't be gatekeeping people's how well you are in games, because at the end of the day, the way I came up in this gaming scene, you can 1v1 me in whatever game that you want to play, and we can see who the real gamer is. But I'm also a multiplayer based gamer, and that's how we determine who real gamers were. So it was. I've had to come from a space where to come out of that competitive space to really realize that even people who play story mode games are part of the hardcore base. They're invested. They spend the time, the energy, hundreds of hours. For example, Valhalla by itself, you got to put in at least 100 to beat the story. Like, you know what I mean? So it's just y'all are also part of the hardcore base too. And who am I or anybody else to gatekeep what we're supposed to have enjoyment out of? At least that's my perspective on the whole thing. And accessibility is only more options for more people as we reach towards those 3 billion players, because let's face it, also console and PC has been capped out. We're only reaching 300 million. Everybody else is playing on a phone or some handheld device. What are we really talking about? That's me.
No, I get it. No, absolutely, man. And so it's weird that we're in this is one of the most inclusive, like, creative spaces you could think of. Like, right. I think even more inclusive than like even music or movies. It's supposed to be.
Exactly.
I think that's kind of where we all started from. But obviously, everybody has different opinions. Once again, chat, let us know how you feel about this. I mean, we don't generally dive into this type of stuff on the shop too often, but this is something that obviously Fuzz brought up, and I thought it was a great topic to kind of wrap up here. We had the perfect guest on to kind of elaborate on this. So Fuzz, since essentially this is your baby, we talked about this a little bit. We and you talk every day anyway. So we talk about these things like this all the time, but where you at on this, man? Like, I know you're a little bit older as well, so we do have to that we have a little bit of a different perspective, not to be the old heads, because I never want to be the old heads, but just from our perspective, as far as our experience. But go ahead, Fuzz.
Well, I'll start with the review process, because that's probably the easiest one. I feel reviewers, and Rain hit the nail on the head, as far as not clarity, disclosure, or basically being, up front as far as if they're playing the game on easy or if they've completed the game. If you're going to review the game, let us know what, where you started or basically the details. You have to have that to at least have some weight to the review. If you only made it about halfway through the game, then I know that's not a review that I'm going to put too much energy into as far as using that to make my decision on the game, because the halfway point may not be the end all be all. There's a lot of games that get to a halfway point and fall on their face, and then there's another quite a few games that you get to the halfway point and that's where things really start to pick up. So I just want to know where or how far they made it and what level they played it on. If it's a single player campaign type of thing, whatever level, that's fine. There's different achievements for it, but at least give us some inkling of where they jumped off from, type of thing. Now, as far as accessibility, it's I don't want to force a dev to, add things that they may not have initially intended to, or that they may not have the resources for, but we should encourage, as far as accessibility, like, yes, if we want to reach 3 billion gamers, we need to think of things outside of what have been the norm. So if we're only reaching 300 million console and Switch players and PC players and so forth, there's going to be plenty of people out there that may not have the means or the ability to use those controllers or keyboard and mouse the way that they're laid out currently. So we would encourage devs to at least consider that if they want, to open up to more of a customer base. I mean, the end of the day, the biggest thing for a dev or for a publisher is going to be to have more sales. So if you can open up to more of a client base, then adding those accessibility options would make just plain business sense, as well as just, not really compassion, but it's one of those things that you definitely want to at least have some form of inclusion. You don't want to exclude people to have it where, okay, this game is only for able-bodied individuals to play. They're the only ones that can experience this story. I just, we've seen exclusion in so many other forms of media and other forms of life that I just I feel a certain way that it should be encouraged, but not necessarily forced. Now, on the flip side of thing, as far as the standpoint from gamers, if I'm playing a game that's story mode on easy and I get the basic achievement, but you finish the story mode on hard or nightmare or whatever, and you got a different achievement for finishing it on a nightmare, plus you already got the achievement from finishing, the basic finishing the game achievement. What difference does it make if my experience was, maybe a cakewalk compared to your extra effort? I can see in multiplayer where, let's say, there's different assists or something like that to give me an advantage or something along those lines. But multiplayer is going to be the great equalizer overall. Right. But when it comes to a single player campaign or story, it should be about enjoying the game, or it should be about playing the game. Yes, it's going to be the vision of the dev, but as far as for the dev, if the person on the other end that's playing the game can at least complete the game, because it seems like that's a growing concern now, that most of these games that are being sold aren't being finished. So it's like you only have a small percentage in a lot of games, and maybe it's because they are taking hundreds of hours, like Valhalla, because that's one game that, was it Origins 100%, Odyssey 100% the story, not the DLC, but Origins 100% DLC. Valhalla is it. I love the combat, love the visuals, love parts of the story, but it just seems like it's dragging on for me. So I'm probably not going to finish that one. But in the grand scheme of things, I just feel that accessibility options should be encouraged to open it up to a wider audience. And what better way to do that than to have those options for, more players? It just, I don't know. It's more of like it seems like a common sense thing to me for that. But the gatekeeping aspect, I don't get it. Like, okay, if you want to play a Souls game and they don't want to have an easy mode, that's fine. Souls games are not necessarily for me. I've tried the
same here.
Probably the closest one.
Unpopular opinion. I'm the same way. I don't really play Souls games. And
it's like, for me, if I feel like I'm butting my head against a brick wall for 15 minutes, I'm not throwing my controller, because I know I've done that with Cuphead, or I didn't throw it. I basically gripped it a little, probably too hard, and broke one of the thumbsticks. But that aside, that told me, hey, this isn't for me necessarily, so I should probably just put it down. But outside of that, I mean, it's just one of those things where I don't get people having an issue with like Psychonauts 2 having an easy mode. I mean, it's a single player game. You don't have to play it on that easier option. If the other person does, so be it. And I know that there's others that are like, oh, if you're giving them a participation trophy, I mean, if they want to adjust the achievements or whatnot, like if there's a specific one for just finishing the story versus, finishing the story and then finishing it on hard mode, all that's all fine. That have it that way. But to gatekeep just because on a story mode or story game or storied based game just seems silly to me. I mean, it's a video game. It's not like they're the ones that are like guarding your front gate or protecting your family type of thing. Like, the games aren't that serious. And if you're that upset about somebody getting an easy mode, maybe gaming isn't really the thing for you, or at least that particular game. But I don't know. I just we should all just focus on our games, enjoy them together, what we can have in common. And if someone had a more easier experience, that's great. I mean, yeah, you want to poke jabs at somebody that it's not they had an easier time because it wasn't from an ability standpoint. It was like, oh, I just wanted the the story mode, like the walking simulator version. That's fine. Bless that person's stones, but don't make it so it's like, oh, well, you're not a real gamer. You're not, because I just look at hardcore versus like casual as like totally different definitions than what a lot of people look at. Right. Like, if you're not in the industry and you're not playing esports and competitively and where it's for like prize money or anything, you're not hardcore. I just see it as that. You could be playing 40 hours a week in games, but if you're not doing it for competition, it's not hardcore. I just call that an enthusiast. You're still a casual because it's not a career. It's not the end all be all. It's not like you eat, sleep, shit, and play video games and that's it. You do other things. I mean, it may be a big part of your life, but that's casual on an enthusiast level. You're buying a lot of games, that's an enthusiast. That's how I look at it from the car standpoint, being a car enthusiast.
I like that.
It's like if you're not on the racetrack racing for money or prize money, you're not hardcore. So that's how I kind of look at those things where it's like we're all casual unless we're getting paid for it type of thing. But aside from that, it just games are meant to be fun.
Right.
And I think we all need to remind ourselves of that and just take a break. That's all I got.
All right, man. Well, let's go ahead and throw this over to Pong, man. Get your opinion on this, man. I mean, this is something that we don't talk a lot about on the show. You know, like it's just something that kind of it's part of the community, and you kind of, I mean, you may not realize it when you first get in the community. You kind of start realizing, you know what's going on, but as you get familiar with things, it does rear its head very often. So kind of where you at on this? I mean, Pong, you play everything. You just love games in general, obviously. If you guys don't know, surprise, Pong loves games. So, but just kind of, I mean, we have this discussion back and forth. We see it, we're on Twitter enough, we're on social media enough. You may not act like you are, but we see it. But just where you at on this, Pong?
Yeah, well, first of all, shout out for Fuzzy suggesting this topic, and shout out for you to you, PTK, for taking it on. This is a main thing that Steele and I do on Living Split Screen. It is one of our focuses, is talking about these community topics, because we do believe it is important. So shout out to both of you for doing this, because it is important that we do address these things as they do pop up, because as this industry grows, that just like Steele and I have talked about for so much behind the scenes and actually on air, as this industry grows, it becomes more and more important that we do tackle this stuff. We are now the ultimate entertainment in the world, right? We're beating out movies. We're beating out all major league sports. So video games are now mainstream. And in order to be mainstream, and in order to continue to fight the stigmas that are out there against video games, this stuff has to be talked about, has to be brought out into the light, so that people can understand why they may not be putting the best light on gamers in general when it comes to this kind of stuff. Again, everybody has the freedom. I'm the ultimate freedom guy, ultimate freedom of speech. Feel how you want to feel, have your opinions, talk about it. I don't care. That's fine by me. I don't care. I'm not here to shut anybody down. However, there is a debate to be had, and there is points to be made when it comes to these kind of topics. So from my point of view, let's get this out of the way. I think Steele nailed it. Fuzzy nailed it as far as reviewers go. Absolutely 100%. I don't think there's any question about this in any way, shape, or form. I know some reviewers, like, again, I'm not going to lump everybody together, but some reviewers have tried to say, well, it's a time issue. Again, the pressure's on to get these things out. So sometimes we have to put this on easy mode. Look, if you do that, fine. I don't have a problem with it, but you better have full disclosure up front, because your review is not going to be for everyone at that point. Yeah. Okay. You're not, again, the difference between, and it's not for every game in general, I know this, but the difference between easy mode and even normal mode can be a huge difference. It can change the AI and how it attacks you and how it approaches you. It can change a whole lot of things. So you have to be upfront that you played it on easy mode, because me reading your review about your easy mode, even if you aren't somebody who says, well, this was too easy for me, I know for a fact upfront, if you were saying that you completed on easy mode, you probably did not experience what I'm going to experience at that point, because I'm going to play it on normal. most of the time, and some games on hard. Now, I'm not the guy who goes and plays hard games. I'm not the guy who plays Souls games, but I do adjust my levels as I go, and they generally range from normal to the next step up. Okay, so I already know your review is not going to be for me. I can read some of it. You know, your talk about the graphics and that kind of stuff isn't going to change, so I can hear that. But the actual gameplay and what you experienced is going to not match up with me at all. So right there, I have to know that out the gates. So that's where I am with the reviewers. Now, as far as people in general and gamers in this community and outside of this community and anywhere in the world who decide that they somehow are affected by how somebody else has fun, this is a clown opinion. Okay, if you honestly go to bed and wake up thinking about how your experience is somehow diminished because I may have played my game on an easy mode, again, get outside, turn off whatever gaming rig you're currently using, and get outside and talk to some people, because there's bigger issues. Okay, you're missing something in your life if for some reason how somebody enjoys a game is affecting you. And just like Fuzzy said, well, I'm not talking about multiplayer, right? I'm not talking about competition. I'm not talking about esports. I'm not talking about that kind of stuff here, right? That's not where we're going, because obviously in those situations, if somebody else has a cheat code on and you're playing multiplayer, they are now directly affecting your life right there and then in that game, right? So that's a totally different scenario. What I'm talking about is a single player mode. We're talking specifically about the instance that came up over this past week in Psychonauts 2 or week and a half, whatever it's been, in Psychonauts 2 directly. That should have no bearing on your life, your thoughts, your emotions whatsoever. Okay, and if it does, there's something missing, because at the end of the day, video games were made. This whole entire industry was built on children having fun in the beginning. It has now turned into an adult obviously industry as well, but at the end of the day, this was built on fun and entertainment, and it was a very personal experience. Now, multiplayer and MMOs and all that kind of stuff has opened it up, obviously, to it being more social, which is great. It's fantastic. But at the end of the day, the core experience of video games is about you sitting down in front of whatever screen it may be, flipping it on, watching a bunch of pixels moving around, and you smiling, laughing, going through emotions yourself. That's what it's about. And how another person did that has zero bearing on you whatsoever. So that to me is the ultimate gatekeeping. And I don't like that word because it's overused, but at the end of the day, right here and right now, it fits perfectly, because that's all you're trying to do is tell somebody that they should not have fun that way. And that is wrong at every level. And I can't express that enough. And I think it's a small, certain select core of people that like to do this, that still like to do this whole I'm a better gamer, I'm a harder gamer, or whatever the case may be than you because of A, B, and C. Okay. Yeah. And I think that's still a small section of people who do that, who, want to compare their trophy size or their achievement list size to yours and say, I'm a better gamer, I'm a more hardcore gamer than you. That's all wrong. Again, the guy or girl who spends all their days and all their hours, thousands upon thousands, in Call of Duty or Madden or whatever it is, and never really buys another game, does not make them a less gamer than somebody who plays 400 games in a year. That's not how that works at all. And it's a stupid competition to get into. It's stupid to even think about it. And again, you're just judging others based upon how they're having fun. And that's completely wrong.
That's weirdo shit.
Yeah, it is. It's crazy that we even have to have this discussion, right? And as far as what Fuzzy was talking about, the developers, and Steel was talking about developers, for me, it's 100% up to the developers what they want to put out there, right? This industry is so gigantic. Not every game is going to be for everybody. And it doesn't have to be developed that way, but there already is a game for everybody out there. And if a developer like Double Fine sits down and looks at Psychonauts 2 and says, you know what? We're creating this awesome experience, this crazy, wacky, crazy, just out of this world experience. And we want the most people possible to enjoy this, right? And you would think that all devs think this way, but that's not true. There are devs who do develop for a select group of people that they know are out there, right? But at the end of the day, if Double Fine sat down and they looked at this game and they said, look, we want as many people to have fun with our game as possible, so we are going to go out of our way to make this accessible to everybody, whether they may have a disability or whatever the case may be, then good on them. And it's 100% up to them. And nobody should have a single question. Even if there is not an achievement that gives you extra credit for completing it on hard, you should not have a problem with that. Your 1,000 gamer score in Psychonauts 2 on hardcore versus somebody who did it on easy does not diminish your 1,000 at all, because guess what? You got the thrill out of it. You got the proud moment out of it for yourself that you did it on hard. And that person that may have chosen to play it on easy because of a disability, guess what? They probably struggled just as much as you did on hardcore, and that's why they put it on easy, and they got those same feelings by completing that game. Neither one of those scores count at the end of the day for anything more, and they should never, ever be compared to try to say that somebody is a better gamer than another person in the first place. That should be your own personal score. That should be your own little personal moments in gaming history with yourself that you can sit back and say, yeah, I got that. That was pretty cool. I remember when I hit that achievement. That's all it should be for. Never for comparing to other people and how they game. I don't finish a lot of games. You won't go through my gamer score. I have it public and find a lot of thousands gamer scores in there. I just don't do it. I play a hell of a lot of games. Does that make me a better person than somebody, a better gamer than somebody who only plays a few games a year? No, it doesn't. Does the person who does complete a lot of games, are they a better gamer than me? Nope. We're all gamers. That's all that means. And we all experience these things the way that we want to, because that's what this is about. Games are about your self-experience. Yes, they can include other people. Yes, they can be social. Yes, multiplayer experiences and memories are going to be shared with other people. But at the end of the day, it's about, you lay your head down, it's about, did you have a good time? Period. And so that's where I'm at with this whole thing. It's dumb. And if you want to do this stuff, again, you have bigger issues. You have something missing in your life. And I can say that with confidence. And you need to take a step back, take a step away, and take a look at that and try to figure out where that is, because you're missing something else. That's my piece on this.
Pong getting deep there. We're going to go ahead and wrap this thing up with Centurion, man. Go ahead, bro. I don't know how you follow that up, Centurion, but good luck.
Well, here's the funny part. In my spare time, I actually do listen to people like David Goggins and Jocko. So I could like go full freaking AWOL right now and say, if you're going to have the energy, like Pong said, to climb out of bed and chew on someone's ass on how they basically enjoy a game, you do either A, need to talk to somebody, B, you need to redirect that energy towards, give your family a hug, go out and do some work at your job, direct that energy towards something way more productive that has a much more positive influence on your life. Don't sit there and, like Pong said, judge your happiness based on how somebody else's happiness went down. If you wanted to basically put that game on insane and push that freaking big ass rock to the mountaintop and you got your jollies off doing it, hey, bravo for you. That is your special moment. That is something nobody can take from you. But there is people out there with limitations, or there's a lot of people out there. There's some people that just don't want to go through that. I mean, it is frustrating when you literally have something that you spend a couple, the big thing, I go on all day. It always comes around this whole subject of, I understand there's people out there with limitations and handicaps and reasons for these to exist. And it should be nurtured, and it should be something that we should encourage in developers to see. But we also need to understand it shouldn't be forced. There is a developer out there that actually takes pride in creating difficult games. It's ID or it's
from software.
Software. That's right, from software. And like when Sekiro came out, I remember that like a reviewer, actually a big reviewer, tore this game down because they couldn't play it, because they didn't have the ability to play it. And that's where there has to be a balance. If there's going to be modes like this that are put in games, reviewers should divulge on how they played the game. And I'm just like in my mind, like, imagine reading a review from somebody who played the game on Insane and then reading the review from somebody who played the game on an adaptive controller, but you could still hear the passion and enjoyment that they had out of the game. And I'm not going to judge either one based on how they played the game. I'd rather hear their enjoyment for the game. If difficult games is something you really love, then make that thing and really find the reviewers that matter to you, and that, the ones that are really going to give you the review you're looking for because, they played the game that way. But I mean, dude, Jedi Fallen Order has this mode. I remember in Jedi Fallen Order, when you start a game, hey, do you want the story or do you want to really play the game? That's pretty much what they asked you at the beginning. And so I just don't see why people got to get up in arms over things like easy mode versus insanity mode. It blew my mind that a Psychonauts sparked this. The last time I remember, at least off the top of my head, was Sekiro. That was an actual difficult game. That was something in itself. But we're over here having this conversation about Psychonauts. Okay. Dude, like, I'm sorry, but I don't really see how a game that is going to have a little bit of a younger demographic that it's going to be advertised to, why you would not want to have an easier mode in there for somebody. I mean, what if this is a kid's first time playing a video game with Psychonauts 2? You don't want to make that their first basis. Oh, I couldn't play that game because it was too difficult. I mean, Psychonauts isn't one of those games where you're just going to be going in there and be like, oh man, I want it to be like absolute strategy, timed attacks. I mean, I want it to where I'm getting my ass whooped for an hour by the same guy. Psychonauts is not one of those games that gives me that an experience that would provide that.
Yeah, no,
sorry, I'm with Pong on this, man. This is it is a dumb conversation at the end of the day, because if you're worried about other people's feelings, dude, that's a very dark road to go down.
I understand, man. So it's just something that, like, we've always kind of like, we talk about this on Twitter. We see it a lot on Twitter. We don't really have a discussion about it on show. So I felt it was appropriate. Fuzz brought it up, but I definitely felt it was appropriate. But not like saying that Fuzzy's conversation was dumb.
Oh no, I'm saying that, like, I can't believe people are like really attacking each other based on a person's difficulty level.
Oh no, I know you weren't talking about that. I know you weren't talking about that. But no, regarding the chat, just you guys watching live, man. Once again, we appreciate you guys, man. But we are gonna go ahead and wrap up the show on that one, man. It was a phenomenal show. We had to get to that topic for sure. It was something that we definitely wanted to discuss here. But we appreciate you guys every single freaking week. You guys have been amazing this week as well. The chat is insane. You guys are awesome. Thank you for the continued support here, everybody watching live, man. We do want to go ahead and get some quick shout outs here around the board, man. First and foremost, our guest, Mr. Steel Rain, came through, blessed us. Mr. Living Split Screen, aka Midweek Mix Up. Shout out to the new collaboration, you and Pong as well, working hard over there. They got 2 Rookie of the Years, man. It doesn't happen too often. So Midweek Mix Up out there, they're on the grind, and now Living Split Screen is a part of that. Obviously, we're kind of all inherently family because Pong is part of the shop, as well as Pong is part of Living Split Screen as well. So we all family, man. We really just vibing in here at the end of the day. But anyway, still appreciate you hanging out with us, man. Let us know where they can find you in chat, as well as what you got going on.
Hey, man, look, PTK, I just want to thank you for even inviting me on, man. I can be forever grateful. Look, nobody has to listen to me, but people do, and I appreciate that wholeheartedly. Again, the goal is to reach those 3 billion gamers plus. You never know who you're going to reach or who you're going to talk to at the end of the day. I want to be able to motivate somebody. to get involved into the scene or to talk about gaming that might have not thought about it before. With that being said, look, you can find me, Steel Rain everywhere. The T is a 7. If you got a search bar, type it in. You'll probably find me. Xbox, PlayStation, PC. Just type it in and see if you can find me. Hit me in the DMs. If you got questions, you want to talk, chop it up, whatever the case might be, let me know. Other than that, Friday nights, 8 p.m. Central, GRG with Gamers Recognized Game. We're always going to be locked and loaded there.
Shout out to Mega.
Shout out to K Mega. Many prayers to everything that he got going on personally right now.
Yeah,
it seems like everything is going fine, but just keep him in your prayers, ladies and gentlemen. But with that also being said, Living Split Screen, Saturday mornings, 9 a.m. Central, 10 a.m. Eastern, 3 p.m. UK time, where we keep it live, raw, and uncut, and give you that authentic, organic energy that you need to get started into your weekend. Hey man, we're just here for the gamers. We're trying to reach that top next level. We want to be bigger than IGN. But again, me and Pong could go on for hours. And we just want everybody to understand that it's natural, it's organic, and it's all around gamer talk. We're non-console centric, man. Again, PTK, thank you for welcoming the rain within the shop kingdom, man. It cannot go unstated. Fuzzy, awesome podcasting with you, man. I believe this is my first time podcasting with you, Brody. You had excellent opinions, man. Awesome dude. Definitely been paying attention to you everywhere you've been going. So, and Centurion, man, it would definitely seem it was definitely a good time with you too. I believe it was my first time with you also. Man, hopefully we can work again in the future.
Oh, absolutely.
With that being said, much love to everyone. Y'all have a beautiful night.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate you, Still Rain, hanging out once again. Living Split Screen as well. Check them out. GRG on Friday. Shout out to K Mega and the gang over there at GRG. Right. Appreciate you guys, man, hanging out. But chat, you guys are fucking amazing as usual every single week, man. So let's go ahead and get to my three compadres here, man. We'll start with you, Pong. I don't know what you got to say. He did your spiel, so I don't know if you need to do the Living Split Screen part already. I don't know how that works. If you guys got a contract, I'm not sure how things are going now.
Oh man, no, what a great show. Again, no better way to spend my Saturday nights. I say it every week, but I will not stop because I absolutely love being here. And of course, having my brother from Another Steel on here, my partner in crime from Living Split Screen, is always great. This is just the beginning of our tour. It started Friday night. We were only on Saturday. We got things coming up this week. So please, everybody, if you are interested in hearing myself and Steel outside of our normal places, keep your eyes and ears peeled, especially to Twitter. Steel and I will be doing that as soon as they're formally announced. We will definitely be shouting that out, but we've got a couple more things lined up outside of our norm this week, because Steel has a week off because the man's making moves in the personal life. He's taking a week off and enjoying himself, so he's going to do some more podcasting this week, and we are doing it together, which is fantastic. So but otherwise, a great night with you guys, my brothers here, my extended family, as always, that I call all the podcasts because it's true. I talk to you guys sometimes more than I talk to my wife, which is amazing. So she's not always happy about it, but guess what? That's the way it works. Obviously chat. Again, you guys are phenomenal, coming out each and every week, supporting us on all these shows, giving up of your time as well to listen to this crazy industry and all the talk that surrounds us. So thank you all. Nothing but love and respect for you guys all the time. But you can find me coming up on Tuesday on with Mr. Boomstick, of course, Zemi Games, 3-bit, depending on his work schedule. Mav's been filling in. Crazy, who knows? Steel might show up. We don't know, but that's on the Xbox Factor podcast, 12 p.m. Eastern, 11 o'clock Central Time. Fridays, of course, on Xbox Ultimate, as always, with Fun Speculation, a.k.a. Mav, his amazing wife, Caitlin, and the rest of the Magnificent 7, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Always a great time. My hype man, as I call him, already took care of the Living Split Screen. Again, come check us out. Just share it out. 10 a.m. Eastern, 9 o'clock Central, 3 p.m. UK time. Living Split Screen Saturday mornings. Steel and I are just having a great time. Episode 17 next weekend. And then I'll be back here Saturday night, of course, back on the Shop podcast. But again, guys, gals, have a fantastic, wonderful weekend. Play what you love what you play, and we will definitely be talking to you all real soon.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate you here, bringing the energy every single week, Pong. Thank you. So, Centurion, let's go ahead and throw this over to you. Let the people know what you got cooking up, man. Got a new video dropped recently. That was awesome as well. Doing well, as well. So, let everybody know what you got going on, Centurion.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. It's been an awesome show tonight. And yes, Steel Rain, I do believe this is the first time we've podcast together, but it definitely was fun. Enjoyed the conversation. Thank you for being here. Yes, I definitely dropped a new video. Decided to go a little AWOL and do something I never done before and had a lot of fun doing it. There was a lot of positive reception. Thank you to everybody who checked it out. Definitely going to do more, but on top of normal content, no, that is not what my whole channel is going to center around, just to put that out there. But definitely, for those interested in checking out my content, please find me on YouTube, Xbox Live, and Twitter at Centurion1307. You can find me right here with these amazing gentlemen every Saturday night, right here on the Shop Podcast. And you can also find me every Sunday night right over on the TXR Podcast with Invader and the rest of the gang over there.
Absolutely, man. We appreciate you guys hanging out, man. Once again, Centurion every single week. Mr. Consistent, man. Thank you for always bringing the energy, man. Appreciate you being here. And last but not least, Mr. Fuzzy Belvedere, man. What's going on? Let people know what you got cooking up. Obviously, we got some new hardware, so hopefully that's going to be some new stuff coming along. I don't want to reveal everything, but we'll see what's going on.
Well, definitely want to thank Steel Rain for coming and joining us tonight. Awesome having you on the show, man. Perfect on energy, perfect on conversation and topics, man. You're on point. One of the up and coming rookies, along with your brother Pong. It's awesome having you guys on here tonight. And man, your Living Split Screen show is definitely taking off. So congrats to you guys on that. Want to shout out to Stag. Hope all is well at home and everything. Mm-hmm. So hopefully.
I'd be staying at home with those cute little puppy and kitty these got now too, man.
Yeah.
Forget doing a podcast. I play with those guys all the time.
Yeah. But man, it's always fun talking games with you guys. Had a little bit of a family emergency last week, and it is so awesome that being this gaming community where we not only we talk shop, but we look out for each other and check on each other. So it's just awesome. With being with this family, man. Pong, Centurion, Blam, you guys are awesome, and just this conversation this night was awesome about gaming. And it's just this whole year has been fantastic. Where we got updates on games and hardware and stuff, so just awesome time. But as far as just finding my antics on Twitter, you can find me at Fuzzy_Belvedere on Twitter. Or on PSN at Fuzzy_Belvedere, or on Xbox or Steam as Fuzzy Space Belvedere. More than likely playing Forza or Division. Hope to do some Forza Horizon 5 content here soon because, man, that game is looking phenomenal. And me being the Forza fan, I got to talk about it. So, man, look forward to that in the up and coming weeks. But thank you guys for an awesome show today.
All right. Well, we greatly appreciate you as well, Fuzz. Mr. Smooth, you always got to break out the cognac, at the end of the show, man. You saved the best wine for last, but appreciate you guys every single week, man. Your host with the most here. I'm just here to guide the ship, man. You guys, I appreciate you every single week, man. Thank you guys for all coming out, showing love and support. Once again, Steel Rain, appreciate you, man. Awesome dude. Once again, you guys go follow him, do everything you can do to support what he has going on. All of that information down in the description below. But last but not least, me, PTK Blam across the board. Follow me on Twitter if you guys want to know what's going on with the show, just in general. I do the best I can to reply to everyone. I appreciate the support. Appreciate the support, as well as on Xbox Live, PTK Blam as well, man. Thank you guys so much. Appreciate your enjoy your weekend. Please be safe. Thank you guys so much, and we're out of here, man. See you guys next week.
Later.
Peace.